heavy right, so I think I'm gonna speak mostly. I'll try and focus over here as well. But with everyone this way, I think we have a good handle. So with us today, we have Ron Zaleski. So Ron, actually, how do you feel from paddleboarding? We went paddleboarding last night. He'd done it once before in like 15 years. And it was my first time ever on a paddleboard. And I cramped up last night. You're doing good?
Yeah, I felt good. I went to the chiropractor this morning.
Yes. So that's it. I need to walk across America and go to the chiropractor, and I won't cramp up after paddleboarding. But it was a great first experience. It's been fantastic having him here. Blessed to speak to Northwest Band, the leadership there at Northwest High School, the Military Family Center, going out there, Patriot Project. You saw Dr. Novelli, I think, again this morning. But the real key to Ron's story is from Vietnam, Vietnam era veteran, not war veteran, Vietnam era veteran that served, and then from there going back into the world and kind of finding that moment where you're walking across, taking him to the moment you're walking across the United States. That's what we're going to talk about here this morning. What led him to walk across the United States? More importantly, what led him to walk the Appalachian Trail barefoot? Now, I would have thought that was harder. He's going to tell us a little anecdote to kind of which one was harder between the Appalachian Trail and walking across America. We're going to talk a little bit about the people that he met and the experiences that happened there. Because that was the true journey for you, is the people that you met and the experiences that you had. One of the key reasons that I invited her on, which actually I haven't told you the entire time, back in 2012, I had done a suicide awareness display in front of my house. It made national attention. It was on Good Morning America. Lots of conversations about suicide and what was going on. Lots of deep conversations in front of my house on mental health. I was very upset because someone criticized me on it. One of the mental health agencies was very upset that I did it and was very critical of it. But the other aspect of that I saw was I saw individuals that came out there that fathers that lost their sons to suicide. I saw spouses. I saw different people out there. It was actually nonstop people in front of my house for the entire time I had it up there. But I wasn't able to deal with that. So I actually, back then, I really didn't have the skill set to have those conversations with them. And what Ron has brought to us, and Ron, who's here, is he just conducted ASSIST, Applied Suicide Intervention Skills Training, here in Massillon over the last couple of days, getting 23 local people trained in ASSIST. So thank you, Ron. Thank you, Ron, because that's part of your journey, is how we're doing that. So that's a little prelude. So without that, Ron, just tell us a little bit about kind of your life story, the beginning and what led you into the service.
There I was, minding my own business, born on Veterans Day into a dysfunctional World War II family. And I went in the Marines because I got drafted. And I went in to hurt my parents because, it was dysfunctional. And back then, I saw the world as black and white. I didn't know gray areas. And if you said one thing and did something else, you're a hypocrite. And that was the way I knew how to get, even with my parents, with that, that technique we use. So when I go in the military, and I'm raised Catholic, I don't believe in killing. I think it's wrong. And but I didn't realize it's not a game, and so I go in, and I realize, I still believe it's wrong. And I get orders to go to Vietnam after I get into a fight with my commanding officer, because I had such a great attitude. And he invites me into his office and said, "What do you think of that, Zaleski?" I says, "I think the only way you're going to get me over there is if you chain me to a helicopter." And I had this attitude at that age because before I was in the Marine Corps, I was in the Merchant Marines. And we were delivering military equipment to the Arabs, and we had signed a peace treaty with the Jews. And I couldn't understand that at the age of 17 because I believed everything they told us in high school about we do the right thing and all this. And they said, how can we deliver weapons to the enemies of our friends? And they all laughed at me and said it's about money. And that's when I started to like, you know, it wasn't like I read in school. And I contemplated suicide while I was on that ship because how can I assist in doing something that's just wrong? And being Catholic at that age, I'm thinking, I'm going to go to hell for this. And I contemplated suicide, and I figured, well, if I kill myself, I'm going to go to hell anyway. So there I am. I'm going to go to hell no matter what. And I figure even if I live longer, I know I'm going to hell because of the way I was leading my life. I know I'm heading there. So I sat on the bow of that ship every night for 2 hours. That was part of my job. I had to stay and watch. And then I asked this question, what's the point of living? Why live? I couldn't understand the purpose. And after sitting out there for a couple months like that, I got it that we're here to love one another. And then you couldn't bother me because I was at peace, because I got that understanding. It's easy to say this stuff, but to experience it's a whole other thing. It's just like when people that are civilians say to us, oh, get over it, you're out. What are you worried about? They have no clue because they haven't experienced it. So it's the same with that experience I had on that ship. So I go in the Marines, and then it kind of crushed that in me because it was all extreme prejudice, and that's what we do to have to do our jobs, because we're trained our whole lives to be good people. We're not trained to kill when we're born. And then we take some young person and we train them to do that in 12 weeks, and then we send them over to do the unspeakable. Then when they come back, our country doesn't allow us to speak about it. We can speak to one another about it, and we understand, and we're accepted. You know, our country tolerates war. It doesn't accept it. The Indians, when I walked across the country barefoot, I had more Indians that stopped and talked to me in the desert than I did when I walked through the streets of New York. Because they embrace it. That's part of their culture. I had a busload of women pulled up alongside of me when I'm walking through the desert. And 7 women got out this tall, all Indians, and it was like standing next to Mount Everest. I mean, the power and the grandeur of those 7 women, and they all bragged about their husbands and their children and what military branch they were in, what war they fought in, and they were so proud of them. It was like they accepted me, and they said, you know, we've been tracking this warrior down, we heard about it. I got an eagle feather from a medicine man there, and they gave me the ceremony that they do for their warriors. So I was totally accepted, and it felt good. Because in this country, we're not really accepted. You know, they're afraid of us, and they say, thank you for your service, and then they run away, or they won't look you in the eye. When people say that to me, I say, well, what are you going to do for me then? And they get scared and run away.
With that, you know, you were just talking about being the bus coming up and what people happen. When you were done with your service, you served for a couple of years. You actually ended up being stateside. And then you were on a bus coming back. And you tell a little bit about the story of what occurred on that, the difference between those 2 buses.
Yeah. Well, when I got out of the Marines, and this is in 1972, and I'm on the train going back to Long Island, New York. And in that train, it's packed like sardines, and somebody says, baby killer. And nobody would look at them. And I screamed, who said that? And they all looked like this. But they all said it because none of them spoke up. And the media did that, I feel. You know, the whole thing. And That's what I feel is tearing this country apart. You know, where I come from, the strong take care of the weak, and the smart help those that aren't so bright. And we're starting to tear ourselves apart, that we don't do that anymore. That's what, to me, this country is. This is where they came because, you know, give us your tired, your hungry, your weak. You know, being Polish in my case, you know, guys that aren't so bright, you know, send them over here. But we don't do that anymore. Or we do, and you know, I was angry, you know, when I got out. A month before I got out, I met one of the 5 I was supposed to go with, because my orders got changed and I didn't go. And I was like, thank you, God. And I met one of the 5 and he's limping, and I said, what happened? He said, we all got shot and 2 died. And I carried so much guilt and anger. All my emotions at one point, I died that minute when he said that. So I felt, did I do the right thing? Was I a coward? Could I have saved him? Did I do the right thing? And I was angry for the whole time I got out. And when I got out, I decided I didn't want them to have died and suffered in vain. They fought for my freedom. I can do what I want. I'm not wearing shoes. I stopped wearing shoes in 1972. I just started wearing flip-flops last year. But the problem is, you know, I said it was a memorial, but it was an act of defiance, because anybody that asked me, how come you don't wear shoes? I'd say, I don't feel like it. You got a problem with that? I'd fight anybody. I got an empty sidewalk in my town. Nobody bothered me. They all left me alone because I was one of those angry Vietnam vets. And they were afraid of me. So, and I was that way for 33 years. 9/11 happened. And then it brought back all my memories, because in my first duty station, I would hear it every night in the barracks, the screaming of the nightmares that kids had. And they're kids to me now. Then they were men, but they were kids. And this all bubbled up and bubbled up and bubbled up, and you know, I just ignored it and ignored it. And I had a gym in New York, and my favorite job was teaching little kids to swim, because they had no filters. They'll say anything, which was good because I'd say anything too. So it was a great company. So this little kid pulls on my bathing suit, and he says, how come you don't wear shoes? It was like God hit me with a 2x4 and said, what the hell are you doing? And that was the first person I told in 33 years why I didn't wear shoes. My family didn't know. Nobody knew. That kid was the first one to know in 33 years. And after I told him, I realized, what have I done? I'm the problem. Because I've done nothing. I've allowed this to continue. I realized I had thrown away that freedom that they fought for, because I lived my life as a victim. It's everybody else's fault. It's the government's fault that this country screwed up. It's the politicians, the church. It's their fault. It's not mine. I'm not responsible. I threw away my freedom. Then I realized I did nothing. That's what I did. I did nothing. And that was unacceptable to me. So I decided, you know, what did I do to cause this? Let me fix it. What can I do to fix it? So that's when I did my first walk. I walked the Appalachian Trail barefoot with a petition I had made that I wanted people to send to their congressman or their politician. And it was to get mandatory counseling for everybody, because to me, when we get out, we're angry, and the suicide, I found out that there was 18 a day committing suicide back then. I didn't know that, because I didn't look at anything, I didn't watch the news or none of that stuff. When I found that out, that was unacceptable to me. I'm a Marine. We go back for the wounded. When I started doing these walks and stuff, I felt more of a Marine than I had ever been while I served, because I was going back for the wounded. The war doesn't end there. We carry it home. So I did my walk on the Appalachian Trail, and I thought, you know, I'm going to create awareness. But it ended up being my penance to forgive myself for sitting on my hands for 33 years. And I had trouble talking to people. I cried really easy, and I carried all that guilt and that shame, you know. But, you know, you're gonna carry guilt forever unless you do something about it. You know, yeah, I still feel guilty sometimes, but I'm doing something about it because to me, that's what you do. And I realized none of us did anything wrong. We made a mistake. We can correct a mistake. We can fix this. But if I feel that I did something terrible and I'm guilty, if you're guilty, you can't fix that. So I walked the whole trail, barefoot, went to Washington. It was like I was talking, you know, to this bottle of water. Because I thought, you know, I've got the answer. They haven't figured this out. I'm a genius. No, they know exactly what to do. They're just not doing anything about it. And then, so I figured, well, I'm going to do a second walk. I did a second. It took me a while to figure out what the second walk should be, but I figured, well, awareness is great, but you got to have a plan. You got to get it instituted, and then you got to get it carried out. So I walked across the country carrying, that's exactly the sign that I carried. This one right up here.
No, go ahead.
Okay. But I wore this every day walking across the country. And I thought what's going to happen is I'm going to get all the mothers that lost a child, all the fathers and the brothers and sisters that lost somebody over there. We're going to storm Washington and we're going to get a law passed and we're going to change this, just like Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. What I didn't realize when I walked across the country is every day I'd meet a mother or a father that lost a child to suicide. Every day a mother stopped me on the side of the road. She'd get out of her car, come to me, and every single one of them said, it's my fault. He told me, I didn't believe him. I should have known. It's my fault. She would hold me like I was her child and cry. I cried every day for 10.5 months. If I didn't believe in a God, I would have killed myself on that trip. It's the hardest thing I ever did in my life. And I could not quit. Because what do I tell a mother that lost a child? Oh, I'm tired. I can't do this anymore. And she lost a child. I could not do that. And I couldn't live with myself if I quit. That's what drove me. People say, how could you do that? I said, if it was your child, you could crawl on broken glass to get there. What wouldn't you do for your child? When I look at this country and the soldiers, that's my children that are in there. This is my family. We don't fight in it. We may fight in a family, but we understand one another. We will talk and say, what can we do to fix this? If I have a problem with my brother, what did I do to cause this? Help me fix it. Not that you're wrong, I don't like the way you think, I don't like the way you dress, I got nothing to do with you. No, that's stupid. We're getting so stupid. Forgive me, I don't mean to make a judgment. I have been so stupid. I've been stupid because I threw away my freedom for 33 years. It took me 33 years to wake up, to take responsibility. We fight for freedom. Our greatest freedom is choice. What are we going to do? I know I'm preaching to the choir here because every single person in this room cares and is doing something about it. I was the guy that did nothing because, oh, you guys are doing something about it. I don't have to do anything. Oh, it's not my problem. I didn't vote for it. No, you guys do something. And that's awesome. You know, if people could see themselves the way I do, you know how much power you have? Every single one of you changes the world by how you show up in it. You do something and you make the world better. I used to be, you know, people told me, oh, the person that pisses you off gives you a great gift. They show you who you are, or they show you the bad side of you. You know, I'm tired of being that gift. I don't need to show you what an a-hole you are. We all know that. I want to show you how awesome you are by doing something good and being kind. That's what I want, and that's what you guys do. And I am so honored and humbled to be here, you know, because I'm trying to catch up. I mean, I was a guy you didn't want in your house for a long time. I am honored that you will listen to me, you know, and the things that you do. And when I got out, you know, when I went to Washington the last time and I went and told them what to do, I realized I had it wrong. I don't go tell somebody what to do. I tell them what I'm doing, I show them what I'm doing, and then I ask them for help. Then they'll help me. You're not gonna help or do anything if I tell you to do something, I'm not doing a thing. You know? So I learned, so then we opened up a shelter. And then we had a shelter for homeless vets. What I found out at that shelter was 80% of the people that were in our shelter were children of veterans because they're destroyed before they get out of the house by being in a dysfunctional family like I grew up in. That's unacceptable to me. And I also learned that I enabled them. Because one of the stories in the book, I had the shelter and I was taking care of my mother before she died and lived 1,000 feet from the shelter. So I'd go in the morning and I had built an outdoor shower at the shelter for guys to use because, you know, in the Keys it's really hot and they can help get a job and all that. So I come in one morning and one of the guys said, oh, one of your buddies was here last night. And I had 9 guys living in my shelter. I fed them, they didn't have to work, I had TV for them. They could do what they want. They saved their money and buy, you know, drugs and alcohol. That's what, you know, the drunks love me in the Keys. So I come in and the guy says, oh, your buddy was here last night and he used the shower. I said, really? What was his name? He says, oh, I don't know. Oh, and by the way, he shit in the shower. I said, well, did you clean it out? Oh, no, I can't. You know, I'm allergic. You know, every 9 guys had great excuses. I wish I recorded them. They were awesome. I cleaned that shower, and I am pissed. 2 days later, he does it again. And again, nobody could clean it but me, and I'm scrubbing it out, and I'm screaming, God, what are you trying to tell me? Then I realized that guy was me. You couldn't have helped me no matter what you did because I wouldn't have let you. I would have broke the shower to show you couldn't help me. Then I realized I judged everybody that came through that door. Well, you're a drunk, you gotta quit drinking. You're a bum, you gotta get a job. You know what? I don't know what your journey is. You may have to sleep in your own puke for a year to get it. I had to be angry for 33 years. You weren't gonna help me. So when I started to accepting them, then I allowed them to change. I gave them permission because when I judged them, they had to defend themselves. Well, I'm a drunk because, you know, I got this back problem and I need it for my pain, or, you know, whatever the excuse was. But when I accepted them, it changed everything. I gave them permission to change. And that was a great lesson for me. And then I also learned that I don't help anybody. I empower people. You empower people. You give them permission to do something by doing it. You show them. And that's what we do with our mentorship program. We're not therapists or counselors. We're Dumbo's feather. You think we're helping you. No, we're helping you find the right answer. Because in your soul, you know what the answer is. I used to go to people and say, oh, you know, could you help me with this? Could you give me the answer to this? And they'd give me the answer and tell me what to do. And if it went south, I had somebody to blame. Well, it wasn't my fault. I listened to Yatsik over here. What an idiot he is. No, I was the idiot because I didn't look inside. That's what people did on the Appalachian Trail. We comprise 7% or less of the population. 30% of the people that walk the trail are veterans because they are looking for the answer on the inside. Those are the guys that get it. So with our mentorship program, what we do is we walk the path, and we'll walk with you on the path to ask the questions. Because if you don't ask the question and answer it, how are you going to change? Oh, I want to be good looking and rich. Well, okay, great. But if you say, you know, what do I have to do to be good looking? What do I have to do to be rich? And then you work on that. We have 10 challenges that help you make that shift to ask those questions. The last one is like the one I just went over. What did I do to cause this? Help me fix it. All of us, well, not all of us, I know in my case, I destroyed all of my relationships. And when I went to them and say, what did I do to cause this? I gave them permission to talk. I showed them that I'm willing to listen now. What did I do to cause this? Help me fix it. I was humble enough to realize I might be the problem here. Before then, it was like, what an a-hole my brother is. Jeez, what's the problem with them? No, it was me. It was me. But when I finally acknowledged, you know what, it might be me. I might be the problem here. What can I do to fix this? When you ask the right question, you know the answer. And that's when you make the change. If you don't ask the right question or think about it, how are you ever going to change? You keep going through life doing the same thing. For 33 years, I went through life the same way. It's everybody else's fault but mine.
Let's talk about the blessings and the angels that you've kind of met on that journey. So when you went through inner city and you came across, again, you're going through a rough inner city patch, and then you came across the lawn. Sure.
Yeah. I was I was in the first couple days of the walk, and I conquered Mass with the first shot is fired. I'm walking through Boston. I get thrown out of a federal building, and I'm walking with my sign, getting a petition. They slammed the door on me, yelled at me, and I left. I go through this really bad area, and I step on a headlight, a broken piece of a headlight glass, because there was an accident there and trash all over it, and it went through my foot. And I packed it with dirt. And you know how you go into shock where you start to get tunnel vision, you start to get cold and clammy and sweat. So I did that. And then I'm walking and I'm, having a little pity party. I must be out of my mind. Why the hell am I doing this? And I call my brother, that's like one of my lifelines. And they say, and during the conversation, I said, I don't think I can do this. I must be out of my mind. I question my sanity. My brother says, well, we question your sanity too. Okay, thanks, that's great. So I'm still having this pity party, walking, and I get up to this, I'm in this bad neighborhood, and it's all of them are dirt and garbage and busted down cars and just a mess, and the houses are all together, it's a slum. And, but this one area, this one guy's got a lawn that's 6 foot by 2 foot wide, weeded and mowed. And I'm thinking, the guy used a lawnmower to cut this. I mean, what is this guy think? And I'm laughing, this guy must be out of his mind. What is he thinking? What, the neighbors must laugh at him. And I stood there and stared at this lawn for a while, and I realized, you know what? That guy doesn't care what anybody thinks. He did that lawn for himself because he cares about his little plot. He cares about himself, and it means something to him. And I realized that I was doing the walk for the wrong reason. I was doing it for somebody else, and I had expectations. I'm going to be this hero and get these people to do this, and they're going to recognize me in Washington, and I'm going to be this big shot. No, I had it wrong. When I realized that, I'm doing this walk for me because I believe it's the right thing to do, no matter what anybody else thinks. So you may think I'm crazy to do this barefoot and walk across the country. So what? I believe it's the right thing, and I'm doing it for me because I care. When I did that, it changed everything for me, because then I didn't have any expectations, I wasn't worried, and I walked one day at a time, because I figured, you know what? Because when I thought about, I'm going to walk over 3,000 miles barefoot, I got to be out of my mind. I can't do this. I figured, you know what? I'm going to walk today, and I'll see how I feel in the morning, and I'll go from there. When I did it one day at a time like that, I was able to do it. And to me, there's a lot of heroes. Like in one place I walked through that was a really bad area too. I see an old woman out there, and she's sweeping out in in the road and on her thing, she's sweeping the glass off the ground, and all the other places are a mess. And I let her, what are you doing? She says, I'm doing this so if the children fall, they don't cut themselves. Nobody asked her to do that. Nobody told her to do that. She did it for her because she cares. That's my hero. You're not going to see them on the front page of the paper, but they're on my front page. That's my idol. That's my role model. You guys are my role model. The things you do, nobody asked you to do this stuff. You're my heroes. I am honored to be. Thank you.
That was the honor we had talking to the Northwest kids about that. Oh, sorry, I interrupted his applause. No, never interrupted applause. So really, that's kind of, this whole couple days is about that journey, about that. When we had the conversation with the Northwest kids, we were talking to them about minding your lane. Like, no matter what the band or the instrument player's doing to your left and right, as long as you're performing beautifully, okay, you just have that in yourself to perform beautifully. And you can change the world. You can change someone else's perspective of the world just by smiling, just by saying hi, just having those conversations that you have. We are a little bit stretched for time because we're going to have a couple of meetings in here in 10 minutes. There's some programming throughout it. But just wanted to open the floor for questions, if anyone had any questions. Oh, I even have a prize for questions. Go ahead.
Well, I've learned in my life that Gandhi said it all. Everything that you have said, he summed up in 10 words. Be the change you want to see in the world.
I'm a little more wordy than Gandhi.
Well, thank you. We actually have one of his books for you.
Yes.
So.
I just want to tell you, as a mental health therapist, I know you feel guilty because you waited so long, but it's never too late. As long as you can draw breath, you can change, and you can change those around you. So I applaud your willingness to go through that journey.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
I mean, just completed one of your the classes that you provided. I really appreciate the time and effort that you gotten in order to be able to provide that. I really do appreciate that. It's going to help me a lot to be able to help others.
A gift is no good unless you share it, and the more you share it, if it's a true gift, the more you get. That's one of the big things I learned. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? I'm going to ask you one. Oh, go ahead.
Do you have anything else planned in the future, any more walks? Or?
Oh, yeah. We were doing the mentorship on Zoom, but we're going to start doing them. We're going to start taking guys in the woods, doing a hike in the woods and doing the challenges in the woods. And I've been talking with Brian that maybe we'll start doing some here.
Okay. And I'll ask you one final question, just kind of for everyone to think about this as well. So how do we adapt or overcome so we don't succumb to a shitty life or suicide ourselves?
You ask yourself the question, why? What is my part in it? Because nothing is outside of us. Two of us can be in the same family and come away with two different things. So when I started to learn myself and took responsibility and asked, why is it this way, and what am I in, and how am I causing this, then I can change it. But I can't change my life. I was unable to change my life until I said, what am I doing to cause this? Then I can change. That's taking responsibility. If we don't take responsibility, we can't change anything because we have no power.
Thank you. So really, thank you, Ron, for everything. Thank you, guys. With that, the resource